Hello everyone, I'm here today to do a review of Time Shelter by Georgi Gospodinov, and this was longlisted for the International Booker, and I was very interested into it because it's about this writer that meets psychologists or psychiatrists or something like that, and they decide that for Alzheimer's patients it makes sense that they would make this clinic in which they keep rooms for different decades so that they feel the Alzheimer's patients feel at home. So they have a floor for the 60s and for the 40s and for the 50s and all of that. And then slowly it kind of expands to bigger, not just a clinic, but bigger areas like a neighborhood or even a city, and people that don't have Alzheimer also want to join. They want to live in the 60s or in the 70s or whatever. So it starts to catch up, the idea, until there is a point in which the whole Europe decides we're going to adopt this idea, and we're going to just move our whole country to a different decade. And they have referendums in each country for which decade they want to move into. And of course, there is a lot of debate about what happens on those decades and what is the best decade, and when is the best time. And obviously, for each country, it's a different moment in time. But yeah, it's the idea of the past and what the past means to us and how we view time. A lot of the book is into that, and then at the end there is even like a meta thing that happens with this writer and this psychologist, which is a little bit confusing, I would say, but interesting nonetheless. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of the book. There's not really that many characters in it. It's just about the idea of time and like how we perceive it, and why would we want to go back to another time, and which time we would want to go back to. And obviously for example, there was a point in which he was discussing the referendum they were having in Spain, to which time we will go back to, and he was like, yeah, well, this was not that difficult because most of the century, it's mostly in the 20th century, they are all moving around times in the 20th century. And he was like, well, the 20th century in Spain was kind of shit because we had several dictatorships and wars until 75, so you could probably only choose like the 80s or the 90s. That's not that much choice, whereas other countries have a lot more choice to have. So yeah, things like that were building a lot in the book. Also a lot of discussion about Alzheimer itself and like illness, and there was a section discussing euthanasia and why these people live and when does it stops making sense and stuff like that. I found the whole discussion really interesting, and that's what I came for the book for. I have to say that I was expecting somehow that this was going to be, like, because of the topic is kind of serious, that the book was going to have a very serious and dense tone. It's not dense at all, so it's divided in these little sections. And it flows quite fast, and the tone is actually quite light, I will say. So it's quite easy to get through pretty quickly, which I enjoyed. I think it suited the story. I was just not expecting it, and the writing is reflective of points, but it also is. It goes. Also to the point of things. It doesn't linger into unnecessary things, in my opinion. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this. I thought that it was very well done, in my opinion. I think other people haven't liked the style of it, and I think maybe it's because the lightness of the tone makes it all sound like a joke when actually it's very serious stuff, and it feels like it doesn't go as deep just because the tone of the book is light. But I think it went pretty deep into stuff, and yeah, I really enjoyed the discussions and the topics topics that it brought, I really enjoyed. I think the main sell of the book is the concept, and I think it was very well done, and I really enjoyed the concept of these different times in which people can live, and yeah, all of that was really interesting. And how people perceive time, and also there was also the discussion of what actually makes a time memorable, and it's like there was the concept that it's not so much about the big events, it's more about the little things, the style of decor, the smells, the foods, the programs in TV. That's what actually makes a decade what it was, rather than the war or the, I don't know, the political stuff or whatever it is going. Of course, that is part of it, especially when it's into the everyday life. Like socialism was in the everyday life of Eastern Europe at a certain point. That obviously does affect a lot the perception of that decade. But things like smaller things, like, I don't know, maybe Brexit or something like that, we do talk a lot about it at the moment, but we probably will remember this time for, I don't know, the everyday things, the decor, the foods that we ate, the smell of disinfectant for Corona, that kind of thing is kind of arguably what makes things more memorable and more nostalgic. And I really enjoyed that discussion too. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this. Yeah, I think it was very well done, and it made me think about stuff that I had not thought about before. So I would recommend. I don't know if it's like winner worth for the International Booker, but still I really enjoyed it, and I hope it goes to the shortlist. Yeah, that's my review of Time Shelter. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if you have read it, or if you want to read it, what your thoughts on it are. And until next video, bye!